not only a sound birthday card, but also a sound thank you card for being one of our elders and for having voice of clarity and incisiveness amid sometimes a very consuming map of ideas, pushed by different systems as they crank their power. Your writers have been refreshing, uplifting, and humanistic, thus helping us in what some call the cooking of the soul. A few more notes to add, if you like, as a very small dusting of herbs.
So for me, the most important scientific contribution that Noam Chomsky has made over his career is just the idea that syntax exists, that it can't be reduced to probabilities and it can't be reduced to meaning. When I was 16, I won some kind of a prize at school, and with the prize money, I bought this very copy of Syntactic Structures. I didn't really understand much of it, but actually the basic core idea I just mentioned has stayed with me, and it's formed the foundation of my intellectual career ever since. So thank you for that idea, Noam, and happy birthday.
Among Noam's innumerable contributions, I would certainly count the fact that language is a human cognitive capacity and not just a cultural object, the fact that the organization of syntax is hierarchical and not linear, the fact that languages vary, but their variation is much more limited than meets the eye. While talking with Noam, I always had a very, very special feeling of being able to look beyond. Once, talking with Maurice Halle, I discovered that I shared that very rewarding feeling with him.
This is Tom Bever. There are three important aspects of how Noam has made continual revolutionary contributions to the language and cognitive sciences, contributions that radiate to many other sciences. First, he has a deep analytic capacity to explore the unconscious sources of what is conscious knowledge. Second, he doggedly builds models of the structure of those processes, changing his mind over time, searching for the simplest description of the essence of language, making it possible to suggest why language is the way it is. Finally, he has the gift of clarity of expression, making very clear the structure of complex investigations and ideas.
Noam Chomsky will always be known for his work in linguistics. However, Chomsky's most significant contributions to science include explaining and exemplifying how science and philosophy mesh together. Science and philosophy are distinct, yet inextricably interconnected, each with characteristic roles, questions, and methods. This picture is perceivable in Immanuel Kant's Prolegomena. That is, philosophy acts as a rudder that steers the sciences. So, is employing one of the alternatives without the other a good bet? Thank you. And happy birthday, Noam.
Hi, Noam. This is Guglielmo. Best wishes to you for this very special birthday. And let me add how grateful all of us are to you for setting, for the first time ever, the study of language on a scientific base. Bye-bye. See you.
Language defines us, but we didn't know how much we know about language until Noam Chomsky woke us up, discovering and making us discover the beauty of the little details of how language works. Noam is also a magnificent example that science and political intervention are not separate worlds. Healthy democracies need critical thinking and knowledge. Thank you, Noam, for all the wake-up calls.
Dear Professor Chomsky, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We are a generative couple, Roberta and Mark.
Although I'm a phonologist.
Nobody's perfect, and we would like to thank you very much for all you do. In particular, I feel like I want to thank you for your message about the responsibility towards the intellectuals and towards science. Not just that you are yourself an intellectual, but that you fight for the freedom in research and for the freedom of scientists. That's very valuable.
And we would like to thank you for setting a model of responsibility at a kind of micro level, so not of just being very courageous in the outside world, but also doing seemingly simple things like answering emails by whoever. You have answered my emails sometimes, you have answered my students' emails sometimes, and I think about that a lot. When I get emails from people, fellow citizens asking me something, many people would say, well, I'm not going to answer this again. I try to follow your model, but I'm sure you get 100,000 times more emails and questions and all kinds of requests than me. I don't know how you do it, but this is very inspiring.
So happy birthday, buon compleanno.
Gelukkige verjaardag.
De pocas figuras mundialmente famosas, se puede afirmar también que han cambiado nuestra visión de la realidad, como quien nos dijo hace siglos que la Tierra no era plana. Chomsky es una de esas figuras. Su pensamiento lingüístico y filosófico dio un giro sustancial al estudio del lenguaje al situarlo en el terreno de la explicación científica de la mente humana. Las ciencias humanas modernas le deben una conmoción intelectual sin parangón. Felicidades, profesor Chomsky.
It's a greeting from Universidad Nacional de Comahue here in Patagonia, Argentina. We really want to thank you, Professor Chomsky, for your contributions and inspiration in our graduate program in linguistics. So, on behalf of all our colleagues here in Patagonia, we really want to wish you a happy birthday.
Dear Professor Chomsky, it is my pleasure to wish you a happy birthday. Both your linguistic and political work have inspired me for years now. You have proven that all human beings share the most sophisticated way of cognition, language. This is the best argument I've ever heard of for equality. You have made, among others, my career meaningful. I respect you and I respect your work deeply. Thank you, Noam. Felicidades, Noam.
Chomsky's twin greatest legacies are, first, he began to explain to us nature's greatest tool for connecting the mind with the world, that is, a human language. And second, he began to explain to us nature's great tool for deciphering these systems in all the guises they take in the natural languages of the world, that is, the human infant. And for these two reasons, I take Chomsky as the greatest living psychologist of language and therefore the greatest linguist of our era. So happy birthday, Noam.
私にとってチョムスキーが科学に対して成し遂げた最大の貢献は、人間言語は自然界の一部であり、言語研究はまさしく他の科学の問題を探求するのと同様のやり方で研究していくべきだということを気づかせてくれたことです。言語学の科学への扉を開いていただきありがとうございます。
So Chomsky's greatest contribution to science, you mean besides inventing modern linguistics and leading the charge against behaviorism? Well, besides these two small achievements, his greatest contribution, in my opinion, has been rejecting methodological dualism and arguing that empirical and theoretical work in the mental sciences should be judged by the very same criteria as work in the physical sciences. Chomsky has powerfully made this obvious point for over 60 years, but sadly, it has still not sunk in.
スキーは17世紀18世紀の普遍文法論者たちが言語学を自然史 Natural History から自然哲学 Natural Philosophy へと向かわせたことを高く評価しています。しかしこの自然史から自然哲学への変更を現代的な意味で基礎づけ、言語学を本来の意味での科学にしたのはチョムスキーなのです。
Hi, Noam. To me, the most important contribution of your work to science is the change that it made in how we saw language itself. My own background was social anthropology, which long viewed language as an aspect of culture, a human invention like tool making or agriculture. You, along with Lenneberg and Holly, changed all that. You brought us to see language as a part of the natural world. And with that shift, everything shifted with it. Language learning became language ontogeny. Language typology became comparative anatomy. Language history became language evolution. And language disappearance became language extinction. Linguistics lives in a new world now, and we have you to thank for it. So happy birthday, and mazel tov.
Hi, this is Howard Lasnik. Noam, I know how you hate anyone to make any kind of personal fuss about you, but it's your 90th. That's a biggie. You're going to have to grin and bear it this time. I was asked to comment on Noam Chomsky's contributions to science. The biggie is that he contributed linguistics to science. He showed how observable phenomena in language are just a faint hint of what's really going on beneath the surface, that principled explanatory theories can and must be developed based on unobservables, as in other natural sciences, underlying versus superficial structure, mental computations relating these, etc. He taught us to question the obvious. In his famous exchange with Hilary Putnam at the 1975 Royaumont event, Putnam rejected Noam's innateness argument based on structure dependence, claiming that no sane person ever has or ever would put forth a non-structure dependent version of question formation based just on strings of words rather than structured strings. Noam's response was, that is quite true, but exactly what we want to explain. Words to live by.
When I was a student, I told my friends I was interested in the thought of Noam Chomsky. And I remember that they asked me which one of the two, the linguist or the activist. After I met him, I realized that there was not two Chomskys, but three. And the third Chomsky is the one who cares for each and every student, treating them as peers and try to do his best for them to reach their goals and their dreams in the intellectual words of linguistics.
科学ではその手始めとして研究対象が完璧でかつごく少数の原理が関与しているはずだとみなします。言語学は言語知識を研究対象にしますが、言語学の責務はチョムスキーが繰り返し述べているように、未分析データの収集にではなく、言語知識についての説明理論を構築することにあります。この視点の転換によって言語学は科学として変貌を遂げたのです。
I first met Noam through Salvador Luria, Nobel Prize, one of the founders of modern biology at the MIT, who was at the time chairing with Noam a group of linguists and biologists. I was at the time a biophysicist and molecular biologist working at the Institut Pasteur under the guidance of another Nobel Prize, Jacques Monod, who was a great friend and great admirer of Luria. So, learning from Luria that he was a great friend and great admirer of Noam Chomsky, I was intrigued. During the Royaumont debate that I had the privilege of organizing, the debate between Noam Chomsky and Jean Piaget, I was impressed by the rigor of Noam's arguments, and I was captured by generative grammar there and then and ever since. Luria wisely said that the best way to characterize a scientific domain is to look at the 10 top experiments in the field. I think this applies to generative grammar as well. It would be an interesting challenge for us to isolate and determine which are the 10 fundamental sentences or sentence pairs that have shaped generative grammar, all the way from colorless green ideas sleep furiously to which of his picture did they persuade the museum that every painter likes best. Finding and agreeing on these 10 sentences would be, I think, a very good way to wish Noam a very happy 90th birthday.
Hi Noam, George Ray here. Although you and I have had our differences over the years, I hope you realize there is nothing compared to the great admiration I have for your work, both scientific and political. Your ideas about the structure of the mind seem to be the best anyone's ever had, and your political commentaries are, well, certainly more serious and well-informed than the standard fare. Happy birthday, and many happy returns.
One outstanding achievement has been the shift of focus from products of language behavior to the study of a specific cognitive system underlying that behavior. From the early days of the generative enterprise, transformational rules were viewed as a necessary complication to unmarked phrase structure rules. One important recent result, therefore, is the grand unification of transformational displacement with phrase structural contiguity under a single combinatorial operation. Transformational features turn out to be the unmarked case of this unification. It follows that no language can be a human language that is not transformational. There's a lot to thank Noam for. Congratulations and a happy birthday to you.
It is true that Wittgenstein managed to lecture about what philosophy is in 3 minutes, but I think that characterizing Noam's contributions in a few seconds is even harder. So I will not even try. Let me just say that after many appointments that I was lucky enough to have over the years with Noam, and going back home full of enthusiasm about the new ideas that had emerged and that we had discussed together, my thoughts naturally went to the contemporaries of the founding fathers of modern science, and those who had the opportunity to discuss with Galileo or with Newton, with Darwin, and I thought that I was lucky. I thought that my generation is lucky, and many generations are lucky to have had the opportunity to discuss with Noam about language and mind. So we should all be grateful to Noam for offering us this extraordinary opportunity of thinking about language and about mind in a completely new way. So happy birthday, Noam, and thank you.
Noam Chomsky has given us a new way of thinking about language, the human mind, language acquisition, and so many other things which are absolutely vital to our understanding of ourselves as human beings. I believe that he has truly given us a novel way of understanding the nature of human nature, the nature of ourselves.
Hi, Noam. Happy 90th birthday. Wow, what one individual could do in 90 years, really change the course of a discipline, in fact, many disciplines, is just simply amazing. I couldn't resist coming to your old stomping grounds, as you can see behind me. I'm in town, as I usually am this time of year, for the BUCLD conference. They asked us to mention your most important contribution, at least in our view, and there are so many to choose from. It seems an impossible task to mention just one. So let me be very abstract about it, which is what I want to thank you for. The overarching view that you've given us, a program that you've given us to think abstractly about language, to add scientific inquiry and scientific methodology into language, to have strayed away at the time or to rebuked the then current idea of what was taken as a truth about language, about the mind in general. Thank you for challenging us to think abstractly. Thank you for challenging us to move the study of linguistics into the modern age of science and to, in doing so, understand its characteristics. Happy birthday. Thanks.
Noam's important contribution to science follows from his contribution to linguistics. Noam's major impact in the field of linguistics came from championing formal mathematical grammars as a characterization of a speaker's unconscious knowledge. This approach spread quickly to other disciplines and allows the possibility of cooperation and integration between disciplines. We are still seeing this unfold, both in research that takes a critical view of Noam's work, as well as research that supports particular aspects of his claims. This, as Noam would say, is to be expected. He's always claimed that you need to be wary of your assumptions when creating a model. Consider the mathematical consequences. These can guide you to new observations or convince you to change course. When I arrived at MIT as a student, I was told, if you believe anything we teach you here, it's your own fault.
Chomsky has shown us that there's really only one human language. The bewildering complexity of the world's linguistic riches simply illustrates variation on a single theme. He's used this insight to cast further light on the nature of the human mind
from modularity to innateness. And he's done this while devoting equal amount of time to relentless dissent, providing us with a means of intellectual self-defense against all forms of authority. Thanks, Noam.
Caro professor Chomsky, siamo Luana Sorgini e Ian Casalicchio dell'Università di Utrecht. Vorremmo farle i nostri migliori auguri per il suo 90° compleanno. Siamo contenti di poter inviare questo video perché ci permette di ringraziarla per aver segnato la nostra esperienza come linguisti.
3 sono i punti che hanno influito maggiormente su di noi. La scientificità che il suo approccio ha dato allo studio della lingua, la capacità di descrivere in modo molto preciso i fenomeni empirici e la possibilità di comparare metodicamente anche le lingue più diverse. Grazie professor Chomsky e buon compleanno!
Noam emphasized Plato's problem. How come we know so much with so little evidence? He also emphasized Orwell's problem. How come there being so much evidence around us, we have a hard time reaching somewhat obvious conclusions? And to me, the biggest contribution was how he emphasized the connection between the two. Are we going to be able to ever address Plato's problem if we don't provide a solution to Orwell's? I don't know the answer, but that's where the torch is, and it came from Noam. We're going to try to pass it on.
I submit that Noam Chomsky's greatest contribution to science is in fact in the making, quite literally. At present, he and I and my colleagues are working to encode the principles and procedures of generative grammar into an artificial intelligence so as to create artificial general intelligence. Indeed, Chomsky and I argue that human-style general intelligence emerges from language. So if we succeed in creating artificial general intelligence, it would be the most important event in the history of the world, and possibly the universe.
Dear Professor Chomsky, it is my pleasure to wish you a happy birthday. Both your linguistic and political work have inspired me for years now. You have proven that all human beings share the most sophisticated way of cognition, language. This is the best argument I've ever heard of for equality. You have made, among others, my career meaningful. I respect you and I respect your work deeply. Thank you, Noam. Felicidades, Noam.
What is language? How can it be described? How is it possible to understand this human-specific trait? Most important contribution of Noam Chomsky to science has been to show that the syntax of language, any language of the world, can be described in terms of a simple binary and recursive operation that applies to syntactic constituent, combines them, and displays them. From his earlier work in the theory of formal grammar and the autonomy of syntax to his current work in minimalism, Noam Chomsky has developed a research program on language science. This research program enables the discovery of our innate knowledge of language. It enables the formulation of testable hypotheses and prediction about the property of human language. It also enables research on language acquisition, language variation, and it also lead to the understanding of language as a product of human biology, that is, as a product of the human computational brain. Happy 90th anniversary, Noam.